Hey everybody, I just wanted to take some time to properly introduce myself to you guys, as this is more of my first proper video on the channel, and I would really like for you guys to know a little bit more about me and the plans that I have for this channel. I mainly want this to be something I do in my own time as an outlet for creativity and or meeting new people. I don't intend for this to be like strictly Risk of Rain content, even if most of my page is decorated Risk of Rain stuff, so you can expect a wider variety of videos from me. But for now, I have something prepared for you guys. For the past 4 or so months, I've spent most of my time on Risk of Rain working Eclipse. For those who don't know Eclipse, it is a extra game mode designed as a way for people to challenge themselves to additive difficulty modifiers. There are 8 Eclipse levels, each one introducing a new quirk designed to make the game harder in some aspect, with each level retaining modifiers added before it. Each survivor has their own progression with Eclipse, meaning I can have all 8 levels done on the Commando, but only have 2 on Merc, giving you 128 different Eclipse levels to go through, and if you complete all of that, you are rewarded the Golden Eclipse 8 badge. But before I get anywhere near that, I'm going to share my experience of going through Eclipse at least once. And so for my first Eclipse grind, and who I choose to showcase, I decided Commando would be a nice and fun choice. And oh, how I was wrong. He brought many challenges to my plate. But before I begin, I hope you guys enjoy this video and maybe be inspired to try Eclipse yourself and learn about the game, because I sure did. And so, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Sadly for Eclipse 1, I lost the footage for it and I didn't really take good notes, so the gameplay will be Eclipse 2 in the background. Eclipse 1 introduces the first challenge modifier, where you spawn into each stage with 50% of your max HP. Overall, it was very chill and really felt slightly harder than a Monsoon run, Monsoon being the hardest difficulty in this Risk of Rain 2. Its difficulty modifier being easily overlooked by healing items. My build was pretty identical to other successful runs I've had, with red items like 57 Leaf Clover, Electric Boomerang, Billion Behemoth, and Sonorous Whispers. Yet I still felt pretty weak throughout the run. I had lots of attack speed and a high bleed chance, and I felt like the opposite of a glass cannon. With that, I went to the basic game route before looping, and then followed the Secrets of the Storm route, and fought False Sun. Before Eclipse 1, I didn't know fighting Mythics was required to be Eclipse, therefore I went to go fight him, and then thinking it would end the run, but then it didn't. Anywho, after that, I went to go fight Mythics and completed my Eclipse. And from here on out, looping and fighting False Sun for red item wells, large chests, and possible red art boss items from defeating him became a norm for each run. And so, with Eclipse 1 done, let's move on to Eclipse 2 adds on to Eclipse 1, making the teleporter range smaller by quote-unquote 50% of its original size. Since the portal is more like a spear, it's really 75% smaller on the surface. It doesn't actuate for the bottom size. With Eclipse 2 having more unsuccessful runs, I started to learn more about how weak Commando really is. His damage is by far his worst trait, as without items like Symbiotic Scorpion, Shattering Justice, Billion Behemoth, along with Bleed and Crit items, makes his weakness really show. Moving on, I started out on Shatter the Bones, then looping on Sky Meadows using traditional shift to teleporter loop. Once looped, I took the Secrets of the Storm route, fighting False Sun again, while dying to False Sun due to what I believe is a glitch because the pillars were not spawning, so I couldn't really do anything to him, as he has an attack where you lose your abilities and you can't do anything to him. After beating False Sun, I was sent to my second personal favorite stage, Sundered Grove, before heading to Mythics and ending the Eclipse. Eclipse 3 caused me the most trouble out of the 4 Eclipse modifiers. Eclipse 3 adds 100% increased fall damage, with it also being lethal, meaning if I fall off the map, I will most likely die. Commando is one of the worst airborne movement tools, and if you fall off the map, you will die most of the time. I don't have the footage, but there was a shrine of chance, and when I went to go pick up the items, they went off the edge, and then I went to go get them. That means I fell off the edge. Anywho, Eclipse 3 racked up the most losses for me personally, and it probably will cause more in the future. But there are 2 solutions to the problem of Eclipse 3, one red item and the other lunar. Transcendence, being my least favorite of the 2, turns all your health into shield except for 1 health, leaving you to be able to only take 1 fall damage. The bad thing is about Transcendence is that shield sucks when in risk of ring 2 when it is all of your health. Shield doesn't heal, it regenerates after delayed damage, meaning you can take a hit and get a lot of healing but it being useless. There is a fix to this, being a red item named Aegis, which turns all your extra healing into Topaz Brute Shield. But I wouldn't take Transcendence unless you already have Aegis. The other option is the Head 5T-V2, a red item which gives you jump height but lets you slam down on your enemies from any height using fall damage as quote-unquote a way to damage your enemies. A side effect is that it also negates all fall damage whether the slam is or isn't charged. For some reason I have no footage of the entirety of stage 1, so it shall remain unknown. Next, I teleported to Amphibian Sanctuary, which is my favorite stage due to its great soundtrack and just great level design, and continued to Siren's Call, before heading to the Bazaar and dreaming of wealth. Next, I teleported to Helmet Hatchery and loot via traditional teleporter shift, and taking the Seeker's route, before taking the teleporter and not the green portal, landing in Sulphur Pools, before heading to Mythics and ending Eclipse 3. Eclipse 4 brings another hardly noticeable modifier to the table, just like Eclipse 1, giving enemies a 40% speed increase. At first, it's easy to see the enemies being slightly faster, but you kinda get used to them after a few runs. Only a few enemies like Blind Vermin, Imps, and Bighorn Bison really stood out to me with the most movement speed. Bosses with flight like Sullus Control Unit and Alloy Worship Unit bosses showed much greater speeds. But besides this, Eclipse 4 is very easy to get around as you'll learn to adapt to it. As for items to help with this Eclipse modifier, movement speed should be considered as it's easy to get swarmed and really slow. Goat Hoof and Energy Drink should be prioritized early on over other movement like Elusive Antlers, Mocha, and Red Whip. I learned quite a few things from the run I had: Prayer Beads, an item which stores 20% of your stats when you level up, and continues to do so until removed via a Scrapper 3D printer. I never knew how they worked until I scrapped it mid-run. I also didn't know that there could be 2 Void Seeds on one stage, which is really nice because I really like Void Seeds. For this roadmap, I didn't take anything special, so it's really short. I touched down onto Titanic Plains and progressing to the Abyssal Depths and finding an Altar of Gold, and fighting Aurelian. Then looping on Helmet Hatchery and taking the standard route all the way to Mythics, ending Eclipse 4. Eclipse 5 keeps the tradition of hardly changing any gameplay. Now, reducing all healing by 50% seems like a big issue, yet I hardly remember having any less healing. It was more so the lack of healing items that had less healing that caught my attention. Rejuvenation Rack is the only direct counter to less healing. It doubles most healing sources and works beautifully with Aegis. Other than movement items which you'd already be getting for last Eclipse, there's not any really new tips for this. For roadmap, I landed on Distant Roost and grabbed the Brittle Crown from a Lunar Pod, then hitting up a Gold Altar and getting Asana's Whispers. Amphibian Sanctuary blessed me with 4 Void Cradles and 1 Void Seed, yet somehow disappointed me with a Singularity Band, Lost Here, and Needle Tick, but granted me a Wungus Intense Bubble. Near the Void Seed was a Cleansing Pool, and I traded my Brittle Crown in for an Irradiant Pearl, which gives me a 10% boost to all my stats, which helps Commando a ton. Scorched Acres gave me a Hunter's Tricorn that allowed me to one-tap boss, and here's Little Disciple. Siren's Call gave me a Shattering Justice. Looped on a helmet and found an ATU 3D printer and gave myself about 1500 damage per rocket. Headed towards False Sun, picking up a Runic Lens on the way, got an Aegis and Bottled Chaos and Sirens, and finally spared Drone Pugs and Sky Meadow before heading to Mythics and ending Eclipse 5. Eclipse 6 breaks the trend of noticeable changes, giving me another headache of a modifier. Introducing enemies dropping 20% less gold, including enemies on stage 1 possibly not dropping any gold whatsoever. It became really annoying having to just sit around and wait for enemies during stage 1, usually making me take a lot longer on the first stage. There are a few counters, but the most reliable in my opinion is Brittle Crown. Its function is super simple, just shoot stuff and you get money. The downside to it is if you get hit, you lose money to equal how much damage you took, which is kind of overlooked because you don't want to get hit due to your smaller healing pool, and it's also preparing you for Eclipse 8 at the same time. There are a few other counters like Gore's Tomb and Roll of Pennies, but Roll of Pennies is bad since you need to take damage for it to activate, and you're not even going to want to take damage for Eclipse 8 anyway, so it's really useless. For a roadmap, I dropped onto Vern Falls and with a stroke of luck was given a Plasma Shrimp. Amphibian Sanctuary also, for me, has just been really known for giving me a bunch of Void Seeds. And this time around, it gave me a Wungus and a Singularity Band. I found a Hunter's Tricorn and used it on Sulfur Pools for a Molten Perforator. Picked up a Jester the Drown, which I combined with a Scrapper, and I scrapped a bunch of items on complete accident throughout the entire run. Abyssal Depths sent me through Helmet, which had a natural blue portal, so I took it to the Bazaar, bought a Focus Convergence, which got scrapped into a Defiant Gouge, a second Defiant Gouge, and a Brittle Crown with a Pocket ICMB to synchronize with my Plasma Shrimp. Looped back to Titanic, and didn't take False Sun route this time, went straight to Commencement, used Eccentric Vase to skip the Lunar Pillars, ending Mythics, and finishing Eclipse 6. After a month-long break, I finally got back to grinding Eclipse 7, with it giving enemies a 50% reduce to cooldowns. In short, it allows them to attack about 50% faster. This Eclipse modifier is again hardly noticeable except for certain enemies like Imp Overlord and some other enemies. This makes the Brittle Crown method I made up earlier a little weaker, as you might get hit more often by projectiles and lose more money, especially near the end. Yet, in practice, Brittle Crown still showed its dominance in the field. For my new runs after my break, I decided maybe time really does affect a run. And I decided for the next two eclipses I'm going straight to Mythics with no False Sun in the way. For the most part, it worked out really well, as Mythic was an easy fight until he thrifted my items from me and brought me to below half, but I was still able to fight him no sweat. Despite increasing Prepticor 5's carbon emissions, Titanic Plains bestowed upon me a Plasma Shrimp, giving me a boost to singular target damage and an Eccentric Vase right after. I visited Newton the Bazaar and bought a Brittle Crown and a Stoneflex Pauldron, the new addition to my plan. You see, Pauldron makes you incredibly slow but gives you 100% maximum health with that. And you may see how slow you move and think, this isn't worth it, which I say doesn't matter. If you can find a Go Hoof or an energy drink printer, I can mass produce speed and then the movement debuff will be completely ignored. Eventually making my way to Abyssal Depths to find a Void Seed with 3 cradles for me to loot, getting a Polyute and Benthiculum, which I mistook for a Tensabobble, and I thought the run was dead after that. Yet, Sailstar gave me a generational lineup of red items, giving me a Pocket ICMB, which gave my Plasma Shrimp a massive boost, Brilliant Behemoth giving me more base damage, and a Head 5T to negate all fall damage. Right after that, I found a Good Hoof and 3D printer and gave myself around 9 days. Sky Metal gave me a general cleanse and fixed weaknesses in my build like movement speed and singular damage. Items like Infusion, more Polyutes, Theo Bear, which I scrapped for Head 5T for, and more Plasma Shrimps. then heading to commencement and skipping pillars. Finally taking out Mithrix with one close call and ended Eclipse 7. Eclipse 8 brings the hardest modifier to the game, bringing every modifier before it to their absolute limit. Introducing permanent damage to you and your allies, which isn't fully clear as going to the next stage or reviving will clear all permanent damage from you. So all the fast projectiles, abundance of projectiles, enemy speed, and fall damage all gathering to beat your ass. For me personally, Eclipse 8 was my first time I've ever felt free beating one of these. I'm happy to have committed to this whole project, and I'm grateful you've all stayed and enjoyed this journey with me. It's taken up around the last 4 months of my life, and I sure won't be doing a video essay this large for a long time. Anyhow, at this point in time, I chose Titanic Plains as my spawn stage for time reasons, as the other maps I either don't like or it feels like it takes too long to loot. I got a great start with damage, heals, and movement as my first items, then getting a Silence Whispers from my regular chest. I took Seeker's route as I kept getting killed by 2 Claimed Doomstriders on sulfur pools on another map like I was cursed. Taking Seekers gives me a way better stage and a different boss pool. Reformed Altar gave me Electric Boomerang and 57 Leaf Clover, which I'm 90% sure that makes my runs successful. I found an ATG printer and got a little Disciple from Golden Dieback, using a sales star to get Nakunohana's Opinion and Wake of the Vultures from Gold Chest. I took a visit to Newt and bought a Brittle Crown, decided to grab Tonic and save her for Mithrix since I didn't have a pillar skip at the time. Fixed up some of my weaknesses in my build with Sky Meadows before heading to commencement. Getting a Dio Bear as a backup from Wells, and finally heading to Mithrix using Tonic on his second stage which worked wonders. Then leaving Practicore 5's atmosphere for the last time, freeing me of the Commando Eclipse grind. It's been a long 4 months, doing Eclipse, editing, finding motivation, and the whole thing really. When I first started making this video, I didn't think it'd end up being so important to my life and taking up so much time. I think it's taking me around 100 hours to beat Eclipse, and then maybe another 10 to 15 hours doing script and editing. But despite all that, I hope you got something out of this, that being entertainment, and learning about Eclipse. For now, I don't have much plans for big videos like this. I'm thinking of doing Phasmophobia or something. I don't know. I'll figure out something. I kind of want to do a series, but I don't know of what. Anywho, thank you so much for watching and supporting my video on my channel. I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
Out to our south. It's a stationary front that's going to lift north this evening as a warm front, and then basically become stationary again across our northern counties and kind of linger this entire week. We have a chance for showers or thunderstorms, and also little disturbances rumbling along this thing will bring us a chance for rain. that chance for precipitation.